for years, I've wondered whether or not you can get into this fan room on the mission Crow's Nest in Halo 3. And I'm sure many of you have wondered it as well. So, let's give it a shot! So I think one of the unspoken things if you played Halo 3 in the past before, that we pretty much all did was push this dead Marine on the mission the Crow's Nest into the bottom of this pit through this crack. Now this fan room is located just outside of the hangar on the mission Crow's Nest, and I actually did a video about a month ago reaching the top of this, after I discovered that the fans, when you look up, aren't actually real. But the entire time I was trying to pull that off in that video, I was thinking about a way to get to the bottom of this room. Now logistically, this is extremely challenging. You have to get through the floor, and this is called downwards clipping, which is one of the most difficult techniques to pull off in all of Halo. But if you've been watching this channel recently, you'll know a new glitch called the MSL has been discovered, which stands for Momentum Storage Launch. To explain it simply, in Halo 3, when you walk against some surfaces, you will go slightly up before you fall back down. If you can find a surface where this happens, what you can do is line up against it and then continue to tap forward. You'll eventually get stuck in an upward position. Now getting stuck in this state is called a floaty, and if you just crouch repeatedly over and over and over again, you will continue to build momentum with each crouch. This then transfers into downwards momentum, and if you're using an object for your floaty state, you can simply hit it, and oftentimes you'll go right through whatever barrier is below you, like in this example from a video I did a couple weeks ago. So really, all I needed to do was apply this momentum storage launch to this area. But first, and perhaps the most important step in this, was trying to find an object that I could use to do this. In the video I did a couple weeks ago, I used a ghost, but there was no ghost on this mission, so I would have to find some object somewhere on the map that was momentum storage launchable. And my first target was a laptop. On this mission, these laptops are located throughout the mission, so I figured, well, if I could set up a really fast launch using one of these laptops, maybe I could just take one right back to this room. I was able to do an MSL on it, I believe. Now my next step was crouching a ton of times. Now I wasn't planning on doing a live run the first time. I was just trying to find objects that I could MSL with. Ooh, this sucks. So I used a program called Halo Checkpoint Manager, which has a feature where you can display 2D game info. If you look at the XYZ on this, you can determine whether or not you did this correctly. If every time you crouch, the XYZ number goes up, you're building momentum. If it just resets every single time you crouch, you're not doing it correctly because you're not in the floaty state. So that's how I was able to confirm this. Otherwise, I would just be going into these games crouching 500,000 times, getting tendinitis in both of my forearms, and having no idea whether or not I'm actually building any momentum. So I wanted to take the guesswork out and figure out if there were any objects and which objects would work. Oh, and the XYZ is the number that is currently at 224. Typically, once you get to a range of 150 to 300, you have enough momentum to start going through surfaces. But I figured 224 was good for the purposes of this, so I forced the checkpoint. And now it was time to see if I could actually get a fast launch from standing on top of this laptop. Oh, and by the way, in order to activate the momentum part where you fling, all you have to do is tap any direction. Alternatively, you can use a grenade, and you can even beat down or switch weapons in some cases. But basically, by doing anything, you will get this crazy momentum launch. I am going really fast. So after testing this a bunch of times, I couldn't survive once, which wasn't necessarily a problem, because the fact that I was dying was at least symbolizing that I had a lot of momentum that I could die from the impact. But in testing this, I couldn't actually get unstuck from the laptop to proceed forward. Can't get out of this now. I didn't think about this part. Then I realized something separate, another problem. Originally, I thought that these laptops were movable. At least one form of them in some of the different rooms that they existed on this mission might be movable. But then I realized, wait, these are all permanently here. So what I did was I reverted back to the beginning of the mission, ran through this part again, looking for, somewhere on the wall that maybe I could do this, or what was an object that would have this effect. And then I eventually landed on, well, maybe the forklift, because at least I could move this object. I'm pretty sure it would fit through the door to get to the fan room, and then by hitting it, I would have an activation that might just send me right to the floor, to the bottom of this fan room. But first, I would have to see if there was a spot on the top of this that I could set this up for. Now I'm going to show you the setup from the beginning this time. In the first clip, I wasn't recording when I originally got this set up. I was just messing around testing this day, and I wasn't planning on filming a video, honestly. But pretty quickly I realized there might be a spot right on top of the front of this forklift, because when I was walking forward, I would go slightly up. Now if I just tap this over and over slightly, by spacing out the taps, I should eventually get slightly higher in the air based on my reticle position, where I will then not fall back down. So essentially I will be floating. And I found out immediately that the fork truck is actually an awesome setup for the momentum storage launch. It took almost no time at all. And I can confirm looking at the XYZ that my momentum is going up each time that I'm crouching, which means I'm doing this successfully. But now I'd have to crouch 300 to 1,000 times in a row to build the momentum needed to launch. And then we're going to see if this fork truck would be a viable candidate to take over to the fan room and bust through the floor. After testing out the fork truck extensively, I came to the following findings. You can survive launches from this, but they're oftentimes not super powerful, and the direction you get flung is mostly up. We're not looking for up, we need downwards momentum. So while the forklift could be cool in other areas and potentially used for other tricks, we have to rule this out. Now, this put me in a predicament because I had no idea what else to use. I couldn't move the laptops, the fork truck sent me up in the air, and I couldn't really think of any other objects that I could stand on to do this. But I remember when I posted the video getting into the cutscene room that you normally can't see on the Covenant using this same method, but with a ghost, in that comment section, Hambone, the discoverer of MSL, mentioned that other people have tried and successfully done this with a Warthog in Halo 3. I also tried this a few weeks ago and couldn't get it to work with a live Warthog. However, on this mission and just down the hallway is a destroyed Warthog that has a bumper. I figured the bumper was pretty much the only place that you could stand on while running into a surface and go slightly up. There's really nothing else to even catch onto on the Warthog. So while I still had Halo Checkpoint Manager up, I wanted to see if I could get on top of this bumper and build up some velocity. And to my surprise, this time it actually worked, and it worked pretty flawlessly. I was able to get the hang of it very quickly, which means all I would have to do is get this Warthog to the fan room, and then I could run this in a live scenario without mods. Now I just need to go. Oh, 500 clicks later. Okay, I think I have an efficient amount of crouches. My forearm is starting to hurt. from doing this for the last 53 minutes in various ways. But now is the moment of truth. Will we get to the bottom of this fan room down here? And no. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Now we have crouch. Let's go down. Pretty quickly I realized I was too excessive with my amounts of crouches. I was getting way too much speed to live either going up or down. So I reset this again and I tried to crouch less. Now it's really hard to tell, but last time I crouched for like 5 minutes. I went way overboard. This time I was going to crouch for about 3 minutes and then see how it went. Okay, I can not take damage. What the? Whoa! The like cylindrical circling motion just saved me from taking damage. That is crazy. Bruh, I'm finally in this room. I've always looked at this and been, well, in my head I said, I'm never gonna get here, but we're finally here. We're finally here. I mean, there's not really much to go around and do, but getting here is half the battle. The swirly magoo. This is what we call it. We call this the toilet bowl launch. And I'm the turd being flushed.